Because if they can make more shots, they'll be able to get into their pressure a little bit more and turn them over.
It's happened, Jeff, when they've gotten some of the turnovers, they've come down, they fire a three-pointer right away. They take the ball to the basket, make a play, make the defense have to stop you, see if you find an open teammate. You don't have to hit a home run right away.
Portland now 6 of 26 from the field. A brutal 23%. Wallace. And finally, Rasheed Wallace gets his first field goal. And despite the poor shooting, they're only down by 8.
They go to the basket right now. Get to the free throw line, son. The pressure will keep turning them over. The Lakers are having a lot of trouble right now.
Anderson, not a good shot. And the Lakers come the other way.
Derek Anderson in the left corner for an 18-foot jump shot. Pass the ball to your teammate. Obi takes it himself and finishes it off. You make a nice steal, dribble the ball, and make a pass to a teammate.
It can't be personal when you play basketball. You got to make the right play whenever it presents itself.
Anderson perhaps getting caught up. The fans going up. He was urging them on, waving his hands when he first came on the floor. Wallace, the turnaround, comes up short. Anderson does a good job keeping it alive, but the biggest guy on the floor comes down with it. O'Neal 6 points and 6 rebounds to start. Good balance from the Laker offense here in the opening half. Shot clock winding down. That's a 3. Shaw the offensive rebound. And George says, let's set it up. Reverse, gets past several players, and there's a goaltend. Another brilliant move from Kobe Bryant.
I know that Derek Anderson is not feeling well, but right now Kobe Bryant goes around him and goes wherever he wants on the floor when he encounters Anderson playing defense.
9 points for Bryant. Lakers by 12. This equals the largest lead of the opening half. Kemp fires away.
This is exactly what Maurice Cheek said he didn't want to see. Early, quick jump shots, because it leads to transition baskets. Lessens their chance to get offensive rebounds.
Cheek said quick shots are like turnovers. And there's a perfect example.
A little bit of ball movement, get some people to touch the basketball, then take your open shot. This is the great feel the big man has for the game. Catch it, see the whole court, a little lift-away pass at the end.
14-point lead for the Lakers here early second quarter.
Shaq's first trying to save it from going out of bounds, then realizes that he has a teammate filling, so he happens to look back towards half court, but dishes off in the end, and then Devin George with the finish.
Certainly poor transition defense by the Trailblazers as Lakers getting good shots inside, you see by the numbers.
What I like about the Lakers, and I think this is where Phil Jackson doesn't get enough credit, he convinces great players to do 2 things. Pass the ball to their open teammates, and you've seen Bryant and O'Neal do that tonight, and also to play defense. When you can get great players with great talent to play unselfishly and play hard defense, you have a chance to win and win championships like he's done 8 times.
Well, those 2 superstars, O'Neal averaged 3 assists a game this year, Bryant 5.5. Kemp gets inside, blocked by O'Neal, but they call a foul. And Shaquille O'Neal will pick up his second. And Kemp will go to the line again. 14-point Laker lead, largest of the game. Kemp played just 7 minutes in game 1.
Coach, I think this is where Portland really has to hang in and be mentally tough. It hasn't gone well. They haven't shot well. They haven't rebounded well. They've taken some poor shots. They've missed some open men. They've got to hang tough right here and not let the Lakers stretch out a lead.
No, because you know in the NBA game, you just need a spurt, a little bit of run to get yourself back there. Shooting 23%, this is not the norm for Portland. They know that. So if they can hang in defensively, don't give up any easy baskets, get a couple steals, get going out in transition for a couple easy buckets, all of a sudden at halftime, they're looking up at a different deficit.
Devin George puts up the 3. That won't go. And Robert Horry does a good job saving it, but right to Wallace. Stoudemire will set it up again. Brian Shaw really doing a good job of ball denial on Bonzi Wells. Now they call a foul. Shaw got a little over-aggressive and picks up his first. You know, you talk about the role players like a Derek Fisher, or Brian Shaw, or Robert Horry. People think about three-pointers, and they've hit a lot of big three-pointers over the last couple of years. But they do so much more than just hit three-pointers.
Seems like on a given night, it's somebody else from that other group of players, meaning the non-Kobe Shaq group, that steps up for them. And there, Wallace takes it strong on the inside. You don't know who it's going to be. One night it's Fisher hitting big three-point shots, or Ori, like you said, George coming up with hustle plays, loose balls.
Fisher back feed, and an easy two for Shaquille O'Neal.
That's one of the negatives of extending your defense to the full court, is you can give up layups when they break through the pressure, and obviously O'Neal is a great finisher.
Still Portland ball. You saw perhaps a moment ago Robert Horry wincing, had that abdominal injury, played through it, played a solid game in game one. Let's look at the replay. Maybe this had something to do with it.
As he goes into Pippen winds up holding on to him. He does, look, he's not letting him go. You can't do that.
Why not?
Oh, you can. I'm sorry.
But also Stoudemire, there was kind of just a shove right by that abdominal area before he went out of bounds by the bench. But he remains in the game. Wells, the high arcing shot. And O'Neal complaining that Kemp was over the top. It's still going to be Laker ball. He's looking at Danny Crawford as he walks up the floor.
Now that's a foul right there. It looked like that to me, and I think it's happened a couple times where he feels people have gone over the top of him and not had fouls called on him.
The Laker lead is 12. O'Neal's been pretty calm about it. Kemp leaning on him. Anderson the rebound. Eric Anderson so explosive in game one, dribbles it off his foot, and it's going to be Laker ball. Pippen will return for Portland.
Because of his speed and quickness, sometimes Anderson tries to get places or go places that he shouldn't go, and there's an example of one.
In the middle on the break and all that traffic, that's going to be a very difficult play to make, especially when you're not feeling well, like he's obviously not feeling well tonight.
You can just see it in his body language as he walks to the bench. He looks absolutely exhausted. Pippen broke it up, and they're going to call a foul. So Scottie Pippen picks up his second, and Devin George will shoot. Pippen, one of the premier defensive players in the history of the game. He's number one in playoff steals, number 5 overall. A guy named Cheeks is number 3 in that department. But as you were talking before, defensively, he's as good as it gets.
Great help defender, great anticipation, length, awareness to game situations. Not as good a one-on-one defender as he has as a team defender, but I would think in my time as a perimeter player, the best perimeter help defender I've seen.
You know when they were really good, when they had Grant, Horace Grant, Jordan, and Pippen, they used to pressure in Chicago. That was kind of scary at times because you had two guys, Jordan and Pippen, who had free reign to go wherever they wanted to, guess, anticipate, and cause havoc. And then you had Grant up on the ball, who could then come back and double team on the first pass.
Nice move from Wallace down low. By the way, the last free throws from Devin George, those were the first free throw attempts of the Lakers for the game. As they're up by 11, we're midway through the second. Along with Jeff Van Gundy and Mike Fratello and Craig Sager, Mike Green on hand. Game 2, Stoudemire picks Fisher. Wells is the trailer. And one. Bonzi Wells somehow still got the shot off despite all the contact. And he's got a chance for a three-point play.
Like you said, I don't know how he got that ball in the basket, but this is the second time that Fisher has had his pocket picked while he's bringing the ball up the floor. A little deflection right there by Stoudemire, which gets him off in transition. And then trying to figure out how this ball went in because it's blocked from behind. His hand hits the rim. The ball goes up in the air and happens to roll back in.
Well, Phil Jackson wants to call timeout. His team's led by as many as 14, but Wells with a free throw coming up that could cut it to 8. 5:50 left, second quarter in L.A. Lakers leading the Blazers by 9. Game 2 of this best-of-5 opening round series. Of course, here at the Staples Center, they're all out. Adam Sandler on hand, Dustin Hoffman. The courtside seats are about $1,500 as Denzel Washington on hand. They're going for about $5,000. Sidney Poitier and Diane Cannon. Now, I know Craig Sager did not pay for his seat tonight. but I think he's happy where he is. Craig, where are you?
I'm up here with my buddy Dimitri. Dimitri, everybody talks about you have to spend a mortgage payment. How much you spend to sit in this seat?
I spent about $30 for this seat tonight. I bought a scalper off the corner and tell the truth, you know.
Face value's only 10. You got ripped off.
Oh, what? Where he at? Where he at? We gonna get him. All my buddies right here. Say hi to everybody.
Would you like to sit down there courtside?
Oh, I would love to, but they wouldn't let us. They kicked us out the game. This is where the real fans at up here, isn't it?
All right, the real fans are up here.
Dimitri a little hesitant to admit that he got it from a scalper.
Very shy, too, I might add.
Some guys just freeze when the camera goes on. A foul call on Scottie Pippen. He didn't leave Fisher any place to land. I think that's a good call.
Well, Pippen had established his position. When Fisher turned in, his right elbow, he turns into Pippen. Pippen's feet are on the ground. He turns in and moves into him. I personally would be very upset if I was Portland, because that's Fisher moving into him right there.
Oh, that's an obvious offensive foul. I think Greg Willard didn't know exactly the way he wanted to go with it. It's a huge foul for Pippen. His third, out for the rest of the half. Tough call for Portland.
You have to give the offensive man room to come down and move. You can't go
He was
right
already
down. He was down. That's right.
All right, let me say this then. I think that's a bad call.
You're so sympathetic to the officials.
Davis knocks it away. But it's a costly foul for the Portland Trailblazers. Pippen goes to the bench with his third. Ball stripped by O'Neal, picked up by Bryant. Pippen did have position after Fisher turned, but it's not going to help him now. As Robert Horry passes up the three.
Sounds to me, Jeff, like he's changed his tune a little bit.
Oh, he's waffling right now, isn't he?
I think we're all allowed as O'Neal with an easy one. Not afraid to admit my mistakes.
Unlike some NBA coaches like myself, right? You know?
The lead is back up to 11.
Rasheed Wallace has got to get going on the offensive end for Portland. They just need him and Bonzi Wells to be efficient.
O'Neal altered that shot. Here comes Devin George.
You can see Devin George just a real short handle on the basketball. He started to bust out and he said, nah, I better not do this. Let me just kind of slow it up and get it to some other guys to handle.
Good help defense on the deflection. Anderson picks it up. Anderson back in the game. Wells seals Bryant down low. Kobe Bryant says to Greg Willard, hey, that's a foul. Wells with 10 points. So Bonzi Wells already in this game with more than he had the entire game one. Bryant right to the basket. Bryant with 11. Lakers by 11.
Yeah, part of the reason that Maurice Cheeks is playing Wells on Kobe, he said, is to keep his focus in the game the whole time. He knows if he's playing against Kobe that he can't relax the defensive end of the floor. So when you see him trying to dig in, little screen, they'll open up Kobe for the lane.
Nice feed from Wallace. And Anderson with a chance for a three-point play. Just look at him after every time the whistle blows and he can stop for a moment. He is hurting big time. Go to the free throw line.
Get back to Mike's point. I just think that it's always good if you struggled in the game before, which Bonzi Wells did offensively, is to have to concentrate defensively, and then the offense sort of just comes to you. He's got to a much better start tonight offensively, and I think a lot of it has to do with him having to guard the greatness of Bryant.
Anderson hits the free throw. That foul on George was his third. Just over 3.5 remaining in the second. If you weren't looking at the score, you'd think the Lakers are just pounding the Trailblazers, but it's only an 8-point game. Robert Horry, no one even near him when he knocks down the three.
Don't start guessing whether or not this guy's going to make three-point shots or not, because I'll tell you from personal experience that he will make them on you.
Lakers now 4 of 9 from three-point range. David Stoudemire. Anderson knocked away by Horry. The little things that the reserves do for the Lakers. Fisher inside. And a foul. Derek Fisher with the chance for the three-point play.
That's a hustle play by Robert Horry, getting on the floor, coming up with the basketball when it looked like Derek Anderson was going to have it. Instead, he saves it, kicks it ahead to his teammate, and then Kobe advances the ball down the floor. Fisher with the finish.
Fisher's only 6'1", but he's about 200 pounds.
Here's the loose ball opportunity. Anderson almost had it, but Ori gets down on the floor and saves it, and that starts the break.
And that's what the role players need to do. They need to accept that that's how they're going to help them win. Do the dirty work. Get on the floor. Take charges. Get on the board. And I think that's where the Lakers have really matured over the last 2 or 3 years.
If people were watching the first game tonight, which I'm sure everybody was watching the first game tonight, Derek Coleman tried to set that tempo, that pace for the 76ers by diving across the floor to save a ball that was going out of bounds.
Wallace gets his own rebound. The role players haven't accepted it. They've embraced it.
And I think it's an interesting question. Has Portland's role players accepted their roles as well as the Lakers players have?
Wells misses a three badly. Here comes Kobe Bryant. And a foul on the pass. For the Blazers, that'll be their 14th foul, so the Lakers will inbound. And we'll have another timeout. Some discussion going on with official Danny Crawford. Ori and Wallace doing the chatting. 2.5 remaining, second period. 13-point Laker lead. Portland Trailblazers trailing by 14 with just under 2.5 to play in the second. Rasheed Wallace just 3 of 11 from the field. Some frustration for Wallace, certainly on the offensive end. Frustration that led to a discussion with veteran official Danny Crawford on another Lamiselle Inside Tracks.
Just keep doing what you're doing, okay? I don't know, Danny. Rasheed, listen, just keep concentrating on what you got going.
Crawford in his 18th year has a good way with the players, and Wallace pretty calm after that. He's not happy with the way he's shooting the basketball. And an offensive foul.
Kobe's going to be in shock.
I don't think Kobe realizes. Yeah, exactly. I don't think he realizes the foul was just called on him.
So that's 2 on Kobe Bryant. Had no idea. Jackson remains calm. His team up by 14. Bonzi Wells, a different player in game 2. Already in double figures. Trying to post up Kobe Bryant. Wallace against Ori. And Rasheed Wallace able to put it in.
Wasn't the thing they were trying to get was Wells posted up? So then why doesn't Stoudemire throw him the basketball? I mean, they came out of, the ball was taken out on the side on the offensive foul. Everybody knew what play they were running. You got to get yourself down lower below the foul line so you can feed that post up man instead of saying I'm too far out, I can't see it.
Bryant's shot hits the top of the backboard, which is inbounds, and Wallace gets the rebound.
And if they're going to sag off of you and make the entry pass tougher, you got to rise up and make the shot.
Wells misses from outside. Wells' jumper, there's no rotation on the ball. It seems very flat tonight.
Well, as Jeff mentioned before, if you had a choice, would you rather have Wells shooting jumpers on the outside or getting down the low post area? The answer is shooting jumpers from the outside, particularly the way the ball looks tonight coming out of his hand.
Shot clock winding down. O'Neal. Davis played him well. Stoudemire the rebound.
Shaq tried to give it a little dipper action right there. He didn't give it the forceful throw it down, rip down the rim. He gave us a dipper look on that one.
O'Neal's been quiet, and he had 10 points and 8 rebounds.
We all need a center that quiet, right?
Ruben Patterson getting booed every time he touches it. Wallace, that's a 2-pointer. And Wallace now 4 of 13 from the field. Final minute, first half. Lakers by 12. They've been up by as many as 14. They've led right from the get-go. And the double team on Fisher. Ori for 3.
It's a very rude awakening for a lot of young players coming into the NBA when they get double teamed. You better have some toughness about you. You come into the NBA and teams start trapping you, double teaming you, because it's not easy getting out of there, believe me.
Fisher talking about it, but he did a good job getting it out. Don't forget, coming up, our AT&T halftime report. That is coming up with 30.3 seconds remaining. Of course, Ernie Johnson, Kenny Smith, Charles Barkley, and Magic Johnson in the studio coming up at halftime. Portland has struggled. It's been an uphill climb the entire first half, but they're certainly not out of it. And trying to battle back in. If they could just shoot a little better. They're shooting right now 30% from the field.
Every team that comes in and play the Lakers say, if only we could make more shots. A lot of it isn't just the other team missing. It's the Lakers protect the paint. It's very difficult to get high percentage shots. The one place they have an advantage is Rasheed Wallace in the post. He can get a quality shot every single time because of his size and length. But the other players, like Stoudemire, are going to have to make some perimeter shots so the lane isn't clogged.
It's like a couple years ago when San Antonio had a healthy David Robinson and Duncan together, and everybody would walk out and say, if we just made a couple more shots and we're shooting 39, 40%. That was every night against that San Antonio team. Teams went up shooting 39, 40%.
Lakers in some zone right here, a little 3-2 zone.
Nice feed inside. Davis foul. Bonzi Wells with a good pass to Davis. And Davis will shoot two as Walker picks up his second.
There's a 1-2-2 zone being played right now by the Lakers, and the ball is going to come back to the top of the circle area in a second. We're going to let this roll, and as soon as it starts to roll and it gets to the top, hold right there. This is the area that is wide open. You can see the Lakers are spread out so far with the defense that they fire the ball right down the middle. It's an easy attempt at the basket to foul.
Davis, meanwhile, misses the first free throw. Portland has missed 4 free throws. They're 9 of 13. Wallace will sit down for the final 12 and a half seconds. Kempa back in. Maurice Cheeks was going to put in another player, so they blew the whistle, but decided not to. Shot clock turned off. As Davis will shoot another. Davis 4 points and 5 rebounds. Well, Davis in his 11th year in the league. A former Pacer.
End of the quarter defense right here is so critical. 12 and a half seconds left. They gave up a 3 to end the first quarter.
And normally they'll put Kobe in the middle of the floor. There, the double team takes the ball out of his hands, and the foul helps Kobe out of that one.
And a bad foul as that will send Kobe Bryant to the free throw line. Bonzi Wells picks up his second. Bryant, the leading scorer with 11. 3 players for the Lakers in double figures. O'Neal and Fisher each with 10.
Very easy could have been a delay a game right there against Portland. When they take the ball, throw it to the other end of the floor, delay a game. If it happens again, a second delay game results in a technical foul.
Bryant's first free throw attempt.
Just another sign of building frustration by Portland because the ball's not going in the basket. You just need to keep your focus on each possession, one possession at a time.
Remember, last game, Kobe took 28 field goal attempts. Phil Jackson said that's a few too many. Here we go into the half right now. Kobe 5 for 13 from the floor.
Makes it a 12-point Laker lead. Final seconds, first half. That's a 3. Won't go. And fittingly for the Trailblazers as Derek Fisher gets knocked to the floor. Ruben Patterson and Danny Crawford made a call against Patterson. It's a loose ball foul against Patterson. Poor decision from Patterson, and Fisher will shoot at the line. Let's take a look.
Look in the lane in the paint area when the shot goes up. Keep watching the paint area, and there he throws down Derek Fisher to the ground. Foul's called on Patterson. There you see Fisher on the ground, and now you'll see him on the foul line.
So Patterson picks up the personal foul. That's his second. An anti-Ruben Patterson chance again at the Staples Center. Fisher to shoot 2.
It's so critical when you're a good rebounding team like the Lakers are on the defensive end of the floor that your small players have the courage to go in and put a body on bigger players. There, Fisher put his body on Ruben Patterson, got knocked to the floor, got the benefit of the foul and the ensuing free throw.
Bad decision from Patterson. The buzzer was going to sound, and Fisher knocks down 2. And the Blazers will go into the locker room at halftime. Patterson, obviously his shot couldn't have gone off with 0.2 of a second remaining, but he's letting his frustration get the best of him.
Yeah, you cannot lose track of the fact that this is a team game. You've got 4 of the guys you're responsible to on the floor, and all of a sudden you get self-absorbed, and what you're trying to prove or accomplish, you wind up giving away points to the other team.
That equals the largest lead of the game. Halftime, a 14-point advantage. Let's go to Craig Sager.
Well, Derek, you told me before the game it used to be Ruben against Kobe, but now it's Ruben against the entire Laker team. Are you taking it personally against him?
Yeah, well, like I said, it's it's that time of year where it's all or none, and right now we're all pulling for each other. And when a teammate gets challenged or a teammate continues to get called out, you know, he's a part of our group, and we're supposed to be there to support him.
We hear so much, obviously, about the offensive player power of the Lakers, but in our open, Mike and Jeff were talking about defense. Here you guys are held them to 37. What are you taking away?
We're just being really aggressive. You know, they talked about putting pressure on us, and they've caused some turnovers tonight, but we're trying to return the pressure. We're making it difficult for Rasheed to operate in the post, and the big fella Shaq, he's been really active in the middle, making it hard to get baskets around the goal.
Thanks a lot. Great first half.
Thank you.
But it's not just him. Everybody's struggling. Damon Stoudemire, 1 of 8 from the field in game 1, just 1 of 6 tonight. Wallace can't do it alone. And you see some of the numbers. Of course, the home team, as we said, has won every game between the two this year, 4 during the regular season, and game 1 here on Sunday. Wallace against Samaki Walker. Now, that's the shot that had not been going down very often during the first half.
You can see the entire Laker defense collapses. What you say is they drop down to the line of the ball almost, force you to pass it out, and then dare you to make some shots from the outside. Phil Jackson doesn't change that until you make enough shots and he feels, okay, now we need a little bit of change on defense.
Davis with a nice block after O'Neal able to get the ball in traffic. And Maurice Cheek says, let's slow it down for a moment.
And if they continue to do that, they can throw it into Wallace. He can throw it back out. They can repost the ball. They don't have to get the post up on the first entry.
They go right back to Wallace again. Single coverage this time, and Wallace back-to-back jumpers to start the second half.
The ball was passed back outside to Pippen. He never put his eyes on the front of the rim. There was never a threat that he was going to shoot the basketball, so the defender never pushed out on him or closed out on him. He just stayed back and tried to take away the passing lane.
Pippen 1 of 4 from the field in the first half, trying to harass Rick Fox. Fox, meanwhile, takes the shot, comes up short, and Dale Davis with his rebound, his 6th.
A totally different outlook by Fox. The ball goes into O'Neal, it comes out, he's ready and willing to shoot the ball. Missed it, but it's that decisive, aggressive attitude that makes the Lakers a balanced offensive team.
Wallace has it poked away, but Stoudemire gets it 5 on the shot clock. Stoudemire trying to draw a foul on Fox. Wild shot. And here come the Lakers the other way. Fisher with a terrific first half. Nice entry pass to an easy 2 from here.
Derek Fisher recognized that Shaq had that moment. Just for that 1 second, he had to get him the ball quickly, or Shaq was going to have to get out of the lane and lose that deep post-up position. That's why the hard, quick pass.
Fisher doing a little bit of everything, including committing that foul. I know it's...
As Fisher comes down the right side of the floor, Shaq will go to the low right block. Right here. Stop. He's got only a moment. Shaq has to otherwise get out of the low post area. Fisher recognized it. Hard, quick pass, then the layup.
You know, you probably say this about a lot of guys who play with Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant. It's so easy sometimes when you play with stars, but Derek Fisher is a very underrated player.
Was he going on all underrated list?
From the rebound, up and on by, just gets it off in time. Lakers say no. It was very close to the shot clock expiring.
Like on that play you just drew for the fans, Dale Davis has got to meet O'Neal higher at the free throw line area so he can't get so deep. Early in the game he was doing a better job of that. He cannot let him walk right into the middle of the lane and get the entry pass.
Go back and think the previous 2 seasons before they changed the rules this year, Jeff. Remember, they stopped you from doing that with Shaq. They were calling those fouls. When your defender would come up to try and meet Shaq at the foul line and put your body into him, they were calling those right away, which was terrible because you had guys shooting fouls all over the place. But now, you got to try and get your guy to sacrifice his body, meet Shaq up around the foul line. Don't let him bury you down low, because once he gets you there, it's all over.
What you have to convince your players who are guarding O'Neal to do is you're going to have to sacrifice maybe some minutes because you're going to have to take some fouls that you normally wouldn't have to take.
That last basket by Pippen, by the way, was so close to the shot clock. Let's take a listen. He has listened for the buzzer. Now watch your shot clock at 1. There's 0. The key, though, is the buzzer on that. Sometimes it's tough to tell on the shot clock. The officials go by the buzzer, but it appeared that it was late, and it should not have counted.
The officials go by the buzzer or the red light?
They go by the buzzer, most of them, because sometimes it's hard to see if the ball's released and look at the light, but you listen for the buzzer and wait to see if the ball's released. It's hard to watch the two things.
You are such a referee's apologist.
Not an apologist, just realize they do a fine job. And sometimes apologize. Brian misfires and Pippen the rebound. But it's much easier to listen for the clock and then watch the player.
Is that like at first base when an umpire's making a call? He's listening for the ball to hit the glove and watching the guy's foot in the base. Is that what you're saying?
I have no knowledge of umpiring whatsoever.
We're trying to box you in right here. We're going right at you.
This is a double team. Fox on the rebound. Blazers are going to come out. There's a foul on Stoudemire. They at least look like they've come out with a little more intensity defensively.
Probably got a pretty good talking to by Maurice Cheeks in the locker room, because you knew he was not happy walking off the floor. He's not very happy. You can see it in his face with some of the shots that they've taken here to start the second half.
With more on the Blazers, let's go to Craig Sager.
Off from Mo Cheeks with the same look he had at halftime. He said his team is not playing well at all offensively. He said, forget the 29%. He said, we only made 2 jump shots the entire half. One by Derek and one by Rasheed. He wanted Rasheed Wallace to stay on the post or on the baseline, get the ball into him, keep giving it back out. He said what's happening is they're getting frustrated on offense and not getting back on defense. When they do, they force turnovers. He's not very happy with their effort.
Pippen hits the 3. Yeah, that's kind of what you said, Jeffrey, in the first half. Is that has an effect when you start missing those shots, and it affects the other end of the floor?
It used to be if you weren't playing well offensively, you would try to make up for it defensively. And now what's happened in the NBA is if it's not going well for you offensively, it saps your energy defensively. It shouldn't be that way, but that's the way it's developed.
Dale Davis, meanwhile, picks up the foul. Good block, but also hit him.
Samaki Walker knows that he's going to have contact, so he decides to go strong and tries to dunk the thing, and we see Davis go up there, and to me, that looked like a pretty darn good block.
Excellent block. Excellent block.
We better ask Mike, Jeff, because he'll have a different opinion, obviously.
He'll defend the officials.
I remember it's got to be 6 or 7 years ago that I said bad call on a play.
Well, if you had been a head coach in the NBA, you too would be paranoid about officials.
I think that's the key. Now, you've just hit the most important aspect of this conversation. 2 former coaches are not always objective.
We always felt we were totally
Well, I take that very personally.
an attack against them.
8-point game slowly. With all this going on, the Blazers kind of got themselves back into it. Wells try it again. Good defense from Rick Fox. Wallace, he's been short on most of his jumpers.
He had the catch and shoot jump shot. Instead, he puts it down on the ground one dribble. It winds up taking a little bit of fade, and misses the shot.
And Bonzi Wells got to give that ball up more freely. It was doubled. It's got to go in and out and back in.
O'Neal off the miss.
I was just going to ask you if Shaq was playing this half. He looks like he's kind of been just hanging around for a while.
Mike, that's his quiet center right there. Yeah.
14 points, 12 rebounds. Pippen. Wallace draws the foul. Wallace will go to the free throw line for the first time tonight. Third foul on Samaki Walker. Walker had an interesting comment after the game. I really don't think they have more to offer, Walker said about the Portland Trailblazers. Like, you know, what are guys getting involved after one game, especially at Samaki Walker saying these things?
What I don't understand is why is it always the role players talking? Why don't you ever... Because the Stars understand how hard it is to win in this league. They have a certain amount of respect for the other players. We shouldn't let the role players be interviewed. How about that?
Wait a minute.
I think that's a little harsh.
I think when we did that game up in Sacramento, wasn't there somebody that said Utah was done?
It's just mind-boggling to me. It's like you win a game and then everything's over. I think like O'Neal certainly and Bryant certainly understand how hard it is to win in the playoffs. One game, one series, and one championship.
There's a foul on Wallace. That was Vlade Divac who had the bold comments after Sacramento took game 1. Wallace, meanwhile, picks up his third foul. Some little chat with Danny Crawford. 8-point game, just over 5 minutes gone by here in the third.
The Blazers right now are fighting for their season. They've got to find ways to make all the hustle plays, be quicker on every rotation like Pippen is on that closeout.
Fox misses the shot, and Davis the rebound. Much better defensive effort to start here for the Blazers in the third. Alley-oop pass to Wallace. Broken up. Here comes Fox. That's the kind of pass drive that Coach nuts. Not that one.
It's okay to throw it to that guy. The quiet one.
Yeah, you can throw it to him. Little different receiver.
Could have been a 6-point game. Instead, turnover, which always leads to a transition, back to a 10-point game.
Pippen looking for a shot way off the mark. Wallace gets the long rebound. Pippen wants to post up Fisher. There's the double. A foul before the shot. Good recognition on the double team. And the Lakers not in the penalty yet.
Phil Davis is still smoking from the block shot before. He looked over at the table. He's still angry because he knows it was a block shot. And Phil himself was called a foul.
Walker, meanwhile, picks up his 4th foul, so he'll come out, and then Robert Horry will check in. 3rd team foul against the Lakers. We're midway through the third. 10-point LA lead. The Blazers have been knocked out of the playoffs 4 of the last 5 years by these Lakers. Knocked away. Pippen comes up with it. They're all over Pippen. And they call for a timeout. Now Bryant and Pippen exchange some words and shoves. Fisher getting involved. Danny Crawford trying to break it up.
You don't want to do something that's going to hurt the team now by getting yourself suspended for a game.
Especially with a 5-game series. I mean, any time in the playoffs, but in a 5-game series, that could really turn a series around. And unfortunately, cooler heads prevail. The officials are going to have to sort it out and find out who, if anyone, is going to get a technical foul here. 5:47 remaining in the third. Lakers lead is 10.
The NBA playoffs on TNT are brought to you by American Express Financial Advisors. Make life rewarding. And by Bud Light. For the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light.
Scottie Pippen and the Blazers scrambling for the ball as they fought for it. Bryant and Pippen exchanging some shoves afterwards. Pippen got the timeout called. There's a little extra pushing and shoving, a topic discussed during the timeout by tonight's referees.
When they get to the ground, Scottie gets his foot and basically turns it, and that's how he goes down.
Right, starts to roll on.
Right.
Even though the place ain't on net.
Yeah, because I turned my head away. I have no idea. Could we have penalized it? Only thing I think we could have done is put it out.
So they decide just no fouls, no technicals on the extra stuff. Pippen and Bryant now kind of talking a little bit. But 1 on the shot clock. Portland has to catch and shoot right away.
You might have time to run a little curl action, try and catch out in the run and shoot it like the one Magic Johnson used years ago off the wrong foot to beat the Celtics, I guess it was, in that game. Or you might throw a little backdoor lob pass.
Bryant plays off the inbounds. Pippen having trouble getting it in. Gets it to Davis. That's a long set that didn't matter. It hits the side of the backboard.
Well, I gave you everything except setting up Davis for a jump shot in the corner. I'm sorry. That was it. I didn't have that one on my list. I'm sorry.
I don't think Maurice Cheeks probably didn't either. The Lakers have led by as many as 14. It was a 14-point lead at halftime. They cut it to 7 at one point. Cheeks' team just can't get any big run going.
I'd say I was really impressed with him today when we sat down and talked with him. He was very honest about the fact that there was a lot he didn't know how it was going to go when he entered his first year as a head coach. How to deal with people, as Rick Fox tries to bank it off the glass. The fact that being an assistant coach, you mentioned, again, another fast break opportunity that they do not convert.
And a blocking foul on David Stoudemire.
But going back to Maurice Cheeks, you mentioned as an assistant coach, you know, I had to talk to maybe one player or 2 players that weren't happy. How to manage just a small group of people. Now I have to manage 12 to 15 players that are on the roster, and I didn't know personally how I was going to handle that. How would I do? It's kind of like on-the-job training for me. Very honest, brutally honest, and kind of refreshing to hear it all.
It was, and for those people that mistook his quiet nature for weakness, were wrong. He's a man of strength and great character and integrity. I knew from having coached him as an assistant that he was going to be a heck of a coach for the Trailblazers.
O'Neal gets it to go down. Well, he was always a great competitor as a player. Not going to be any different as a coach. 12-point Laker lead. 5 minutes remaining in the third. Bryant on the steal. And a foul on Bonzi Wells. Let's see if they call a clear path foul.
They're checking to see, officially trying to talk right now to see if there was a defender back between Kobe and the basket when the foul took place. We can get a look to see Kobe has a breakaway, but was another Portland defender between Kobe and the basket. From that angle we can't see, but there may have been. Stoudemire's hustling back. I think they're going to give him the free throws right there.
So they say no clear path. And Bryant will go to the line as they're in the penalty. Derek Anderson will come back in. Stoudemire was very close. Now, here's a better look at it, Mike.
Stoudemire hustling back. I would say that he was out in front. I would. I think Stoudemire was there. He could have easily headed Kobe off. He had a good enough angle on it. Slightly ahead.
Bryant hits the free throws, and they've equaled the largest lead. Back to 14. Well, it's just under 5 to play here in the third.
Pippen's playing at the point right now. Fisher's on Derek Anderson.
Wallace has Oriana. Ori with the steal. Bonzi Wells, another bad pass. O'Neal. They pull a foul. How many steps can you take on that?
Shaq loves it. He loves to get the ball in the middle of the floor to show that he can swish and dish and deal. He was spinning on us, hopping on us. Why not pitch it ahead to your quiet center? Let him do a little drop step, pirouette, and up and under move for Shaq. I guess he is kind of quiet, huh, Jeff?
Yeah, that's quietly impressive. You take a look at a 7'1", how much ever he weighs, more than us combined, being able to dribble, spin, keep his body under control, and now he's going to step into the line. I mean, that's just an impressive athletic display right there.
I think he really was looking for someone to drop it off to, and as he did that little pirouette step and opened up, he said, wait a minute, I have a clear path to the basket. Let me just try and get this up on the backboard.
He had that amazing crossover move for one of the final games of the regular season. Might have been the finale of the regular season. So it's amazing what he can do at that size. And this is the first. So Wallace trying to plead his case to Danny Crawford. I don't know if he wanted to travel. The lead is now the largest of the game, a 15-point advantage. And O'Neal gets the bounce. An 8-0 run by the Lakers.
He muscled that free throw in. He shot it into the front of the rim, and then it just bounced up in the air and over the top.
Pippen banks one in. That technical foul, by the way, for the extra free throw was on Dale Davis, who's not against Rasheed Wallace.
That's an upset right there.
Wallace was rather calm, actually, in talking to Crawford. Right now, Portland in a 14-point hole. O'Neal inside, and a foul. Shaquille O'Neal now starting to dominate here in the third quarter.
You see the frustration of the game setting in with Portland now. Davis knows he has a technical foul on him already, so as Shaq drop steps, he's just too big and too strong. Dale Davis is a very, very strong person, but he's just no match for the size and strength of Shaquille. So as a result, kicks the basketball in the stands, and he's gone.
They get a second technical foul, which is an automatic ejection. The frustration continues for the Portland Trailblazers. Bryant will shoot the technical free throw, and now O'Neal will shoot the one on the personal foul. Yeah, this is where he picked up the technical foul again. The second one is automatic. And you see the little drop kick of the basketball, and he was gone. O'Neal now with 11 of his 21 here in the third.
Dale Davis came to the Trailblazers as a power forward. Now he's a starting center. It's obviously no fun to be matched up against O'Neal where you're playing out of position, but it's just so much on the line here. You're fighting for your season. And you need a player of Davis's caliber. He's an all-star type player with Indiana.
You know who we haven't mentioned all night is the loss of Arvydas Sabonis, where he did not return this year. There was the 7'2" player who, size-wise, strength-wise, maybe could match up with Shaquille O'Neal, but at the offensive end, he could go out and shoot threes behind the three-point line. He was a great passing center player.
Something Davis certainly can't do. With all due respect to Davis, nice feed inside, blocked by Pippen. Fox gets it back and a loose ball foul on Scottie Pippen, and that's 4 on Pippen. And the Blazers in the penalty, some more free throws coming up. This is a team that at times has had a hard time controlling their emotions over the past couple of years. They look like they might be on the verge here. Davis certainly lost it.
Well, I remember when I was working for Pat Riley, one of the first talks he gave during that year was he had an orange in his hand and he was squeezing it, and he asked the team, what do you get when you squeeze an orange? And it sort of confounded me, but the players knew it was orange juice. And at his point was, whatever's on the inside during pressure comes out. And right now, there's pressure on the Trailblazers to hold it together. And their team, collective team character is going to come out right now, how they're going to handle themselves from here on in.
Maurice Cheeks has made a big difference in how they've handled themselves through a lot of rough times during the regular season. They overcame that 13-18 start. They were 9th in the Western Conference, turned it around, won 30 of their next 38 games. Well, the playoffs is certainly a different game as you see Steve Kerr in for the first time.
Talk about the juice being bitter or sweet.
Sometimes there are a few pits in there too, yeah.
In his motivational talks, he does use that juice theory of squeezing. Sometimes juice is bitter, sometimes juice is sweet. You can't change, people change under pressure. So that's what we're talking about, pressure. It could be bitter sometimes. Let's try to help you out on that.
Or bittersweet.
Anderson drew the foul. It was against Kobe Bryant. That's his third. Anderson hits the free throw, and Anderson comes on to the booze again. Anderson has had a rough game, as is most of his teammates have had. 15-point game. But again, just watching it, you think the Lakers would be up by 25 by now. That's what the Blazers, if they just hang tough, there's so much time remaining, could get themselves back into it. Bryant goes right at Patterson. O'Neal keeps it alive. Get out of the way. And there's the foul. O'Neal will shoot 2. Kemp picking up the personal. His first. And we've got timeout. A rough third quarter for the Portland Trailblazers. They trail by 15 with just under 3 remaining in the third. Late third quarter of game 2. Lakers leading by 15. Shaquille O'Neal starting to dominate in the third. He's in pretty good company with the Lakers' all-time playoff scoring leaders. And as great as he's been in the regular season, he's had some just unbelievable playoffs.
Talking about Jerry West leading that list there, what about the rumors of Jerry West perhaps surfacing in Memphis? The Grizzlies as the new president or the title they wind up giving him there.
They've talked to him. Nothing's official yet. As you see, Shaquille O'Neal, all 5 of their field goals in this period. A couple of columns in the LA Times today saying no way, they can't just see him leaving.
Well, the guy today at the last minute, the Laker blood will run too thick for him, and he's not going to leave.
Wallace backing down against Story. Somehow flipped it in. It looked like he hit the bottom of the rim and went over. Wallace now with 16 points. 8 of them here in the third. Blazers trying to hang in there. Kemp is on O'Neal. Shot clock winding down. That's a long 3 from Bryant. And a rebound goes to O'Neal, but a loose ball foul will go against the Lakers as Derek Anderson is shaken up on the play.
That's just what he needed. He's feeling bad to begin with and get smacked right upside the head.
Fox commits the foul, and the Lakers in the penalty. Fox with a nice sportsmanship handshake there. You see the right hand of Rick Fox, certainly unintentional, and Anderson went down. As Craig Sager reported earlier, Anderson spent today's shoot-around throwing up in a garbage can. Tried to do it. He's been unable to keep food down the last couple of days. Had some food poisoning on Sunday. Didn't practice Monday, Tuesday. Practiced Wednesday. Felt much better. But did not feel well when he got to the arena tonight. Wasn't on the bench at the start of the game, but has come out and trying to give it his all. He's 2 of 3 from the field, 9 total points.
A lot of food poisoning going around the last couple weeks. I've heard of 3 or 4 different players in the NBA who become sick as a result of something that they had eaten. So, I mean, it seems like a small thing, but imagine playing for a championship, losing the key guy because he goes out to eat somewhere in a city that, you know, is not his home city and winds up getting sick and knocks him out for a couple of days.
Ashburn with Charlotte has been out. 13-point game, just under 2 minutes remaining in the third. Nice backdoor. Easy 2 for Ori. Robert Ori with 5 points off the bench. Ori does a good job defending Wallace. Certainly did in game 1 at times. Wallace is still going to get his points, but he's made him work. Nice tip out to Bryant. And the Lakers will set it up. Ori, 3-pointer won't go. And Bryant tracks down a long rebound, took it away from Patterson. And there's a foul on Reuben Patterson. And the Blazers in the penalty. Well, Bryant will shoot 2. Patterson picks up his second. And again, the crowd delighting into every misplay from Reuben Patterson.
And the Blazers now are reacting on every call, showing disgust and frustration. And that's not going to get you better calls from the officials. You need to be able to talk to the officials in a professional, dignified manner. And it's up to all coaches and players to know how you get the best results with officials. And constant whining and complaining isn't going to get that done.
So Bryant will shoot 2. He's 5 of 6 from the line. 16 points and 4 assists for Kobe Bryant.
Jeff, did you educate your team on game nights as to who was officiating and what that particular crew might be like? If it was a certain crew that you had, you know, obviously over the course of the years, you kind of build up this library upstairs of things you can get away with, can't get away with, who you can talk to, who you can't talk to.
It was more not what they were going to call, but just exactly their temperaments. And I think that's critical for all players to have their own scouting reports. Know who they have good relationships with. Know who you can talk to, who you can raise your voice to, who you can't.
Even learn their names in terms of who's officiating in a certain game.
Oh, there's no doubt. Who would want to be called, yo?
Hey, ref.
Yeah.
Hey, ref. Devin George. Ori keeps it alive, and Samaki Walker. Ori doing the intangibles here in the third. Derek Fisher. And it's Portland ball with 28.9 seconds remaining. Lakers have equaled their largest lead, a 17-point advantage. And in control right now.
My great trainer that I had back in Atlanta, Joe O'Toole, his name sign on his door was Hey Joe. So it's Hey Ref, Hey Joe. Having a first name does help.
Wallace gets in there and a foul. Ori tried the old player backing away, hoping Wallace would fall, but a good adjustment from Rasheed Wallace, who has a chance for a 3-point play. Ori's second foul.
That's what they call pulling the chair, where you try to back off, where the offensive player, Wallace, expects contact. He does a great job to keep his balance and finish the play. That was the old trick of Rick Mahorn and Bill Laimbeer during the bad boy days of the championship Detroit Pistons.
Wallace now with 11 of his 19 points here in this third quarter. But the Blazers still trail by 14. Shot clock turned off. The Kobe stopper will try and halt Mr. Bryant. And a whistle from Greg Willard. It's going to go against Portland. So free throws coming up. Derek Fisher will go to the line. I didn't see where the foul was.
It was on Steve Kerr down in the post fighting Derek Fisher.
They call it on Kemp.
On Fisher?
He might have, maybe he ran past Sean Kemp, and Sean, gave him a little body check forearm to his body as he went past him.
Fisher having another strong game. 13 points, 4 assists. Perfect from the line, 4 for 4. And knocks down another one. 3.6 remaining. Ball deflected out of bounds. Still Portland ball with 1.6 left. Bryant trying to come up with a steal. Well, plenty of time to get off a good shot here. But they're down by 16. Kerr. And there's a foul on Devin George. Smart play from Kerr, getting in his way. And Kerr will get a couple of free throws. George just in the wrong place.
He just didn't see the basketball. Was anticipating where it was going to come out. Lost sight of the body, made contact.
4th foul on George.
He has no idea where the ball is. The last second he sees it coming over his head. Unfortunately, he didn't see Steve Kerr.
So Kerr will go to the free throw line. Kerr this season was 39 of 40 from the free throw line. That's a decent 97%.
You could speed this process up and just count it, just like they want to do with the intentional walk in baseball. This should be the intentional free throw. Just send them on down to the other end. Put the 2 points on the board.
Speed up play. And Kerr makes them both. 1 second remaining. Horry looking to throw the home run ball. Deflected by Bryant and Patterson, and that will end the third. The Lakers led by 14 at halftime, went up by as many as 17, and it's right back to a 14-point lead. Shaquille O'Neal with a very strong third quarter. And as you see, 13 of his 23 in this period. 3 quarters complete at the Staples Center.
Ignited the LA fast breaks. But LA is just an opportunity fast break team, and Portland needs more transition points to be able to score enough to win.
LA brings in Lindsey Hunter for the first time. Hunter, Devin George, Bryant, Horry, and Walker. Walker inside. Tough shot as he ran right into Derek Anderson, and Anderson comes out hobbling a little bit.
And Derek Anderson trying to guard Robert Horry that time down low.
Kemp spinning inside. Strong move from Kemp, and he draws the foul. Top tap of the head to Horry, and he'll go to the line. 3rd foul on Robert Horry. Horry's actually the Lakers' playoff leader in career playoff games. This is 135 career playoff games. You can tell there's a lot of poise and has been a big part of the last 2 championships. And of course, one in Houston, and he's got that abdominal muscle not bothering.
Easy with the Houston one. That's still a painful memory, okay?
And Kemp hits the free throw. 79-65. Lakers by 14. Bryant. Bonzi Wells on him now. Wells knocks it away from behind, but it goes right to Devin George, who's out of control. Horry again. Consistent play. Robert Horry with 7 points. Kerr and Hunter, 2 guards who haven't played a lot for their teams this season. Foul on Salaki Walker. That's his 5th.
Kemp had the ball, tried to repost again once it went back out to the top, and Walker anticipated they were coming right back to him. He basically broke contact to try and come around, get that arm in the passing lane, and call for what I would consider to be a very tic-tac minor foul.
Well, let's throw that over to Mike Green and see how he defends him on that one.
I concur.
Oh, change of heart.
Kemp.
Isn't that a TV show?
Yes, it is.
Kemp knocks it down, so Kemp cuts it to 14. 90 seconds gone by. Derek Anderson's still out there. It's clear that he's not even close to 100% as Bonzi Wells commits the foul. At what point do you let him stay in there? At what point do you take him out?
Well, I'll tell you, you don't give up on a playoff game. You don't save people. You don't save things you run. I know. I'm not worried about him being sick. I think he's the best guy to help us try to get back in this game. He stays in until the end if necessary.
Devin George knocks down that jumper. Obviously, Mo Cheeks thinks he is.
I think Mo Cheeks is gambling a little bit, hoping that either Kerr or Anderson knock down a couple three-pointers, because both of them have the ability to hit 2 or 3 three-pointers suddenly, quickly, and then he sees them right back in the game again if that happens.
Anderson's played 20 minutes. He has 10 points. Kemp goes at O'Neal. Good help defense from Robert Horry. Patterson, not a good idea. It has been a long night for Ruben Patterson.
He's determined that he's going to get this one up somehow between Horry and Shaq, and they're determined that he's not going to get it up.
Bonzi Wells, not a good shot there either. Kobe Bryant had it, lost it, but Derek Anderson was out of bounds when he touched it. That's a nice thing, making sure the fan behind him's okay that he bumped into, and the Lakers will take over. 16-point Laker lead. The closest Portland has been in the second half is 7. They've never led. Patterson plays off Horry. And a double foul. Bonzi Wells and Kobe Bryant. It looked like they're going toward each other. Jim Capers ready to jump in between, but a nice foul on the back.
Well, Bonzi trying to deny Kobe the basketball, has his body up against him, does a little bit too much holding. Kobe trying to get free. The official decides that he'll settle this quickly.
Wells is his 5th foul. Bryant is 4th. They don't count his team fouls on a double foul. Wallace now on O'Neal.
I guess what I said in the open about the possible flaws of playing small were exposed right there, where O'Neal is just too powerful. And it's not like Rasheed Wallace is a small man. I mean, he's big and strong and athletic, but that's just a difficult cover. You're going to have to double for him if he's going to guard him down in the low post.
Jeff, when the ball was out of bounds on the side and the official was handing it over, Shaq was 3 feet into the purple paint, because there is no 3-second violation when the ball's out of bounds. So immediately Wallace started in the hole. He had a problem. As soon as the ball's passed in, over to Shaq, he's too deep.
Pippen is back in for Portland. Bonzi Wells thought he was fouled that last one. Anderson, nice move, goes crashing to the floor. And the Lakers come the other way. Lindsey Hunter for 3. George the rebound. Hunter again.
We saw Lindsey Hunter prior to the game out here with Jim Clemens, the assistant. Probably shot 50, 75 shots from behind the 3-point line.
Horry throws it back. Here comes Bryant and O'Neal. O'Neal! 20-point lead, largest in the game for the Lakers. And now the crowd has come alive.
After Shaq threw it down, he had a little special walk at the end of this thing. First, it starts at the defensive end of the floor. We talked about the Laker defense. Don't underestimate it. And then Kobe is going to give it up to the big man. The big man's going to finish with the left hand.
The NBA playoffs continue tomorrow night on TNT. Game 3 of the Nets and the Pacers from Indianapolis. Series all tied up at 1. And coverage begins at 8 p.m. Eastern with the pregame show. Number 1 seed versus the number 8 seed. Indiana getting a steal win in game 1 of that series, and they're all tied up. Meanwhile here, the Lakers up by 20. Shaquille O'Neal's had several players guard him. Not making much of a difference who's on him.
Well, I think we saw in that promo, Jason Kidd for MVP. He certainly had that type of year, as has Tim Duncan. But just like when Jordan was at his prime, I think Shaquille O'Neal each and every year is the most valuable, most dominant player in the league.
He's got 27 points, 12 of 18 from the field. And he's got this crowd fired up. They were chanting three-peat during that entire timeout. Pippen puts one down. 18-point Laker lead. We've played 4 minutes of the fourth quarter.
Portland's got to establish something going into game 3. They're probably not going to come back and win this, but they've got to find some things that can be more effective for them offensively. And how are they going to compete? And this is the type of play I'm talking about. Do not give in just because you're down.
And Patterson able to put it in. Derek Anderson's helped defense forcing that turnover. Crowd again booing Ruben Patterson. O'Neal wants the ball. Wallace is on him. Pippen looking to help. And Shaquille O'Neal in and out. Patterson won't shoot it this time with O'Neal close by. Stoudemire's had another quiet night. This time gets it to Wallace, and Wallace puts it in.
Well, they actually threw 3 or 4 passes and wound up with a great high percentage shot that Wallace makes.
Wallace has 23, 6 straight points now for Portland, and they cut it to 14 again. Still plenty of time. So right back to O'Neal.
If they do not score this time, Phil may come back and re-enter some people. There's the score.
Lindsey Hunter from downtown. Hunter in game 1 played just 2 minutes. That's his first points of the series, and it puts the Lakers up by 17. And a reaching foul on Kobe Bryant. 5 on Bryant. 6:19 remaining in the fourth. A 17-point Laker lead. Fox will come in, and Bryant will sit. Fesher's going to come in for Robert Ory. Bryant also with 5 assists. And Shaw comes in for Lindsey Hunter. Coach and Star with a little chat. David Stoudemire, 1 of 7 from the field. Wallace flips it up. Wallace stares over Jim Capers. He thought he was fouled on that one. Looked like O'Neal smacked him on the arm. David Stoudemire now 2 of 15 in the series for Portland. O'Neal down low by Patterson with a foul. And O'Neal will go to the free throw line. Patterson is getting caught up with frustration, yelling something at the crowd, just showing some immaturity here.
Yeah, and Brian Shaw is over there to talk to Shaquille because Shaq, he's staring out at Patterson right now because he hurt his thumb or his wrist, whatever, on the block. And Brian Shaw did a good thing. He went over, talked to Shaq, reminding him about the fact that we need you in this series. We need you for down the road as well.
Timeout, 5:46 remaining in the fourth. Lakers lead by 17. O'Neal free throws coming up. 17-point Laker lead with just under 6 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. Greg Sager reports that Ruben Patterson initially after the foul, which has obviously been called a flagrant foul on Patterson, he tried to apologize to O'Neal after the play, and O'Neal just brushed him off and didn't want anything to do with it. That's why Patterson got hot immediately after that. So give credit to Patterson at least going over to try and apologize there. And then just when both teams came out of the timeout, Patterson went over a second time to O'Neal, kind of shake hands, and this time O'Neal acknowledged his apology.
Yeah, but I don't buy that, Mike. I'm sorry. That's like, a guy knocks your head off, and then after he knocks your head off, he knows what he's doing when he took the hard swing at Shaq. If he breaks Shaq's thumb and knocks him out for the rest of the playoffs, then what are you going to do? Go over, shake hands, say, I'm sorry? That's like make-believe to me, okay? There are certain things that I think players are sincere on. They do things, they say they apologize, but then there are other things they're not really sincere. It's more of an act.
Fox gets inside and puts it in. Nice move from Fox.
It'll be very interesting to see if Patterson goes to the basket, what kind of reception he gets at the rim.
Wallace knocks down the three. 94-76. Wallace has 26 points, but his team in a huge hole with 5:15 remaining. O'Neal double team and draws the foul. So frustration for Rasheed Wallace showing. It's been like that as he picks up his fourth for all the Portland Trailblazers, including, as we mentioned, Damon Stoudemire. He's 1 of 7 after 1 of 8 in the first. And Stoudemire has admitted he's a bit on the distracted side right now. Stoudemire's facing a court date on May 2nd. A grand jury's going to hear evidence on whether or not to indict him on felony drug charges as O'Neal hits the first. Marijuana was found in his home recently. He told police it wasn't his. No arrests have been made, no charges filed. But he's admitted it's an emotional time for him. He says his reputation's at stake, really doesn't want to talk any more than that. I don't know if that's the reason why he's not playing well, but as a coach, how do you deal with those situations when there's something off the court that's obviously a problem with a particular player?
Well, it may be off the court, but it's still something that involves one of your teammates. And as Portland did, they sat with the entire team, explained the situation to him. They were fully supportive of Damon. He's been excellent as Scottie Pippen hits a little jump up right there. Nothing has been proven yet. He has to go to grand jury, so there is nothing that has come out that is for sure evidence. So until that comes out, basically his lawyer has advised him to say nothing at all. And his teammates were made aware of the situation. He knows he has their support, and they'll have to wait till they go to court.
As O'Neal loses it out of bounds, Stoudemire, like his teammates, struggling shooting the basketball. They shot 36% in game 1. They're at 38% in game 2. O'Neal tried to throw it right back to Shaw.
If you go back 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago,
there's an offensive foul. And he's going to go against Portland. Bonzi Wells has fouled out of the game. Wells just 3 of 11 from the field.
I was starting to say, go back 3 or 4 seasons ago. Remember, Stoudemire was shooting low 40s for the season, and at that time he was taking a lot of threes. He was taking shots where he would get in the lane and challenge big people fading away, and then the next season they really worked on him understanding what were better shots, good shots, higher percentage shots, not taking as many threes, and his field goal percentage went up. He struggled in this series.
Kerr puts it in. Steve Kerr. 16-point game with 4:10 remaining.
And to have any type of pick and roll game in this series, which is one of O'Neal's weaknesses defensively, you have to have Stoudemire and Wallace effective in the pick and roll. And he's a capable shooter off the dribble. He just hasn't been able to knock it down yet this series.
O'Neal, George tried to throw it to him. He's had some good looks. And Rick Brunson's going to come in as Maurice Cheeks going to his bench. Stoudemire will sit. Phil Jackson can relax down the stretch of this one.
Shaq gave a look over to Devin George like, where did you want me to go to catch that one? Devin tried to explain. He said, well, he came at me. The defensive player came at me. That's why I threw it up there.
Pippen for 3. Scottie Pippen knocks down another three-pointer. He's got 17 points. And the lead cut to 13. And a technical foul called against Portland. Once again hurting themselves. And this one goes. A delay of game warning is the reason. It's the second one, so there's a technical foul there.
We talked about that way back in the beginning of the game. You take the ball, throw it down one end of the floor, or kick it up into the stand. They're going to hit you with a delay, and then if you have another one, you hit with the technical.
So on the second delay of game, automatic. Bryant and O'Neal have been smiling down the stretch of this one. They've led by as many as 21. It's a 14-point game now with just over 3.5 to play. Fisher, Shaw, Fox, Bryant, and O'Neal out there now. Kobe Bryant, that's a 2-pointer. Pippen with his 8th rebound. Steve Kerr for 3, and Kerr knocks it down. Just like that, it's cut to 11 with just over 3 minutes remaining.
Got to start to pay attention here. 3 minutes is a long time. Get a couple guys to hit a couple threes. Gets interesting.
Kerr, the all-time leader in 3-point field goal percentage. Fisher misfires. Bryant had it, lost it. Ball knocked loose, and here comes Kerr. Blazers trying to get one more run. And an offensive foul. Kerr out of control. Look who picks up the charge, Derek Fisher.
Scottie Pippen was spotted up behind the three-point line opposite. He was waiting for Kerr to hit him with the pass.
And Rasheed Wallace has just been hit with a technical foul. He's been talking to Danny Crawford all game long. Wallace with the tee. And just when they're on the verge of making a little bit of a run, granted it's late in the game, but they let their emotions get the best of them and hurt themselves once again. Lakers so strong at the Staples Center in the playoffs as they've won back-to-back NBA championships. That record doesn't include tonight, as they're on the verge of beating Portland again. Portland was on a 13-3 run before that technical from Rasheed Wallace. As Bryant hits it, and again, I think only 2:44 remaining, but they're finally getting a nice little run going, and perhaps one more final push, and the technicals hurt them again.
And there you see it, 4 technicals, 1 flagrant. You just can't give points away in the playoffs. Just too critical.
O'Neal deep in the post, nice feed to Bryant. Lakers wanted a foul with Patterson again. Wallace for 3. Rasheed Wallace puts it in. And it's 98-89. They've cut it to 9 with just under 2.5 remaining. 29 for Wallace. So they've cut 12 points off the lead. Nearly another turnover, and there's the foul. Scottie Pippen called for his 5th. And the Blazers now in the penalty. So free throws, no, that's only 4, excuse me, so inbound. 2:13 remaining, 9-point game.
We've seen bigger leads in this disappear with 2 minutes and 13 seconds remaining.
I saw 7 points go in 16 seconds against Indiana a few years back with the Knicks, so an NBA game is never over. I guess that's not really true, but in this case, maybe.
Gotta finish Yogi Berra's line. Bryant misses. Wallace the rebound.
If we get a basket here, this will be a little bit interesting. Portland needs a basket.
Patterson against Bryant. Pippen for 3. Puts it in. Scottie Pippen knocks it down. 6-point game.
Pippen was open before when Kerr was called for the charge. He was wide open behind the 3-point line. That time he knocks it down. You got a 6-point game right now.
A 19-4 run. They led by 21 earlier in this 4th quarter. And it's now 6. O'Neal deep in the post. Quadruple teamed. Ball knocked out of bounds.
And just think where they'd be if they hadn't given those technical free throw points away. Just how close it would be now. Watch the lob to O'Neal right here, posted in the middle of the lane.
O'Neal double teamed by Pippen. Knocked out of bounds. Good play from Wallace to deflect it out. 7 on the shot clock. 1:26 left in the game. And it's not over.
You know, right now you have to think about fouling Shaq if he touches it down low. But remember, he's 7 for 9 from the free throw line.
Fox's tip won't go, and here comes Pippen.
They don't need threes. They just need to score.
Steve Kerr for 3. And he rushed out. Not a great shot.
Not a good shot. Not a good shot in that situation.
And Pippen called for the foul. Pippen is just fouled out. And now the Blazers in the penalty. 1:02 remaining. The lead is 6, but Fisher will shoot 2. 20 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists for Scottie Pippen. And now Fisher will go to the free throw line. 85% from the line during the regular season.
Just saying that they don't have to have a 3 in that situation. There's plenty of time left to get a good high percentage shot basket. Have a little patience. You're right there with an opportunity to pull off a tremendous upset.
Fisher perfect from the line tonight. 15 total points. We get 2 here. Puts it in. Coming up next, the Emmy Award-winning Inside the NBA, presented by Hyundai. Ernie Johnson with Kenny Smith, Charles Barkley, and Magic Johnson. Scores and highlights from the games tonight. Game analysis and a farewell to Magic on his last night in the studio. Been fun watching him. And Fisher knocks it down, and Maurice Cheeks will call time.
I was going to say, I thought Magic did an outstanding job, excellent job, but if I say it, he might wind up taking our job, so we better be careful here. I'm not going to say that.
Timeout. 1:02 remaining. 4th quarter of game 2. Blazers trying to make a run, but they still trail by 8. 1:02 remaining in the 4th. Portland was down by 21 points. Went on a 19-4 run. Hit some big shots, but still down by 8.
Well, we said a couple 3-pointers can get you back in the game, so Rasheed Wallace hits the one from the corner. Now Pippen gets the inside-outside pass. He drains it, and now patience is not there. Steve Kerr hurries a shot, 4 shot selection, misses.
They were guarding the 3 so aggressively that if they just would have driven it to the basket, O'Neal couldn't help in those situations because he's guarding Wallace at the 3-point line. They could have cut it to 4 and put real pressure on the Lakers to finish the game.
Blazers still have a full and a 20-second timeout. Wallace a quick 3, and again they do the same thing. Fox the rebound. There's still time with the timeouts, and 2 ill-advised 3-pointers for Portland. Lakers wisely taking time off the clock. Bryant nearly falls in a travel.
Kobe wanted the basket to count. He wasn't concerned about the travel part of it.
Steve Kerr should save that highlight. He just stopped Kobe Bryant going to the basket.
He's the Kobe stopper.
Timeout called again by Portland. And they'll use a full timeout, so they'll just have a 20-second timeout remaining. 38.9 seconds left. They're down 8 with the basketball. Jack Nicholson watching the proceedings as the Lakers lead by 8. 38.9 seconds remaining. I don't know if you can actually say there's been a few anxious seconds for the Lakers. They're up by 21, clearly in control. Blazers went on a run and cut it at 1 point to 6. But now trail by 8. Derek Anderson back in, will inbound.
They were 6 with the ball, and that could have put real pressure on them. Got to give yourself chances.
See, they're down to 1 timeout. Kerr has it knocked away by Fox, and Fox knocks it out of bounds, so Portland will take over. Good hustle play from Rick Fox. Takes some time off the clock. And Kerr will bring it up. Now at this time, now you have to start thinking about threes.
You have to start thinking about what time the flight's going to go.
Wallace, and a foul on Rick Fox from 3-point land, and he's going to get 3 free throws. Missed a bad lapse of judgment by Rick Fox that time.
The entire coaching staff for Los Angeles is just amazed right now that a foul was called on there, or amazed that Rick would even be challenging it that close and get him on the elbow on the way up.
Wallace 3 for 3 from the line. Frank Hamlin to the right of Phil Jackson there. Now if he hits all 3, it's a 5-point game with 25 seconds remaining. And the Lakers will no doubt have to hit some free throws to wrap it up. O'Neal is out of the game right now. Wallace, meanwhile, 30 points and 11 rebounds. And that's a big miss.
An overlooked critical area in late games is how you defensive rebound on the free throw line. Too many times teams give up free throw rebounds. You almost have to think about missing this free throw if you want to have a chance to win.
It's a 7-point game with 25 seconds. Wallace puts it in. That's a good thought. And Kerr immediately fouls Rick Fox.
A number of teams have set plays on the foul line for missing free throws intentionally, where they hopefully will come up with it and give themselves a chance to get a 2 or kick it back out for another 3. So in that particular situation, you're down 7. Maybe you do try and miss it on purpose.
Well, the hardest threes to guard in my estimation, are the transition threes and the threes that come off offensive rebounds and quick ball reversal off the offensive rebound. But obviously, they didn't decide to do that.
Fox 2 for 2 tonight. He's 82% for the season. And Conley sinks that one. 7-point game with 24.2 remaining. Pippen is fouled out. Bonzi Wells fouled out. Dale Davis ejected with 2 technicals. And Fox 2 clutch free throws, and the Blazers will use their final timeout. It's a 20. They're down by 8 with 24.2 remaining. Don't forget, coming up immediately after the game, Inside the NBA, presented by Hyundai. Ernie will be with Kenny and Charles and Magic. Take a look at the first game from tonight. Boston Celtics with a win. They went up 2-0 over the Philadelphia 76ers, and the Lakers on the verge of going up 2-0 against the Portland Trailblazers. Now, from what you've seen from the Lakers in the first 2 games, I mean, obviously they're still the favorite despite being the 3rd seed, but is the gap closer between the Lakers and the other teams?
I think when this Laker team sets their mind to it, there's not anybody left that can beat them, really. Particularly now, San Antonio has a crippled David Robinson. They had a chance maybe of going against him because of the 2 big men, but with just Duncan by himself, I'm not sure they have enough left. This team is a very, very solid basketball team.
They play with such confidence as Kerr draws the foul. And there's a calm about them, even in the difficult situations. It's the way a champion's supposed to play.
They're efficient and they're poised, and they don't need the home court advantage. They got the Shaq court advantage. Wherever he goes, it just eliminates the crowd because, he's going to be sitting on the free throw line. Your best players are going to be in foul trouble. You have to double team. And they've proven last year, for them, it's overrated. For the rest of the league, home court advantage is so important.
Where Sacramento's already lost a home game. That series tied with Utah at 1 apiece. San Antonio, the number 2 seed, has lost a home game. And the Lakers on the verge of going up 2-0. Dallas Mavericks look strong, but even Don Nelson has said that he doesn't feel that this year they can win a championship.
If they keep shooting the ball the way they're shooting it, they can beat a whole lot of teams because Shaq's got to go out and guard LaFrenz out there or Nowitzki if they make him the 5-man that particular night. If you are in one of those grooves where you're shooting the ball as well as Dallas is shooting it, then you got a chance.
Absolutely, and I think if this was the NCAA tournament where single elimination, a lot of teams would feel better about their chances. It's just trying to beat them in this round 3 of 5, but then when you need to get 4 wins, it just seems like such a daunting task. But you're right. I think you're going to have to be able to score easier than like Portland's scoring to have even a chance to beat them.
Fisher misses the first. 13.3 seconds remaining. It's a 6-point game. Fisher with 17 points. Make it 18. Another strong game for Derek Fisher. Kerr launches a 3 off the mark, and that will do it. Bryant with the rebound. Lakers lead wire to wire, and they go up 2-0 in this best-of-5 series. And they've beaten the Portland Trailblazers for the 6th straight time in the playoffs. It is a team that they've had their number in the postseason. Of course, now they have to go to Portland, where they lost twice during the regular season, but they're in control up 2-0.
They know that when they go to Portland, that crowd is going to be into the game, that team, Portland, is going to play with much more enthusiasm, much more emotion. That's why they wanted to secure these 2 victories here at home. Then they go up there and have to take care of business, win 1 more game to end this series.
Another big game for Shaquille O'Neal, who's with Craig Sager.
Well, I'm with a general. You like to call yourself the Colin Powell of this team. Obviously, you took some hits by that offensive arsenal, some new moves, that left-handed dunk. How do you feel about your offensive performance?
I try points by doing other things, by going to the glass. Last game, they were doubling and triple teaming, so I just wanted to do something different. We're playing pretty good. We should have beat this team by 20, but we messed around at the end and let them hit a couple threes. Now we just have to go up here on Sunday, just take care of business.
They had 4 technicals, also the flagrant. Ruben Patterson one time tried to apologize to you. Do you think it was sincere, or don't you have anything to say to Ruben?
I don't worry about that. I just try to stay focused. I just try to play ball. Even if they are dirty tackles, there's no room for retaliation right now. So I just stay focused, step to the line, hit the free throws, let them know that Hack-a-Shack is dead. It'll never work again. And we just have to stay focused and keep on going.
Hack-a-Shack is dead, but Portland had a 5-point strategy for guarding you tonight. It was bang him, run him, foul him, dig him, and double him. Were any of those effective?
I've been in the league 10 years, and that's how I've been played. And that's how I've been playing. I don't step out and shoot jumpers. I don't step out and face up. I'm a real last, left in the game, and I'm going to stay down there. I like banging. I like running. I like jumping. I like dunking. I like getting fouled. So that's just playing right into my hands.
Good job, John.
Thank you.